Warning! This video blog or vlog could contain harsh opinions or foul language. If you do not appreciate said content or material, well, you could just fuck right off.
Greetings, Internet people. Ranting Ramsey here. How are you all doing today? Not doing so badly, and as you can see by the title, today we're doing a rant request, and this was actually sent to me via text message from Sarkintar, and he notified me of a article on Mother Jones that was just posted today, and deals with a somewhat sensitive topic. And I have to be honest, I don't have a really definitive opinion on this one, but I do have a decent amount to say. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by quoting the first paragraph and then a subsequent partial paragraph from the article, which is linked in the description after Sarkintar's channel link, which is how I usually do the rant requests, if you didn't know. Quote, on March 14th, 2009, 31 weeks into her pregnancy, Nina Buckhalter gave birth to a stillborn baby girl. She named the child Haley Jade. Why that's relevant, I have no fucking opinion, or no fucking clue. Moving on. 2 months later, a grand jury in Lamar County, Mississippi, indicted Buckhalter for manslaughter, claiming that the then 29-year-old woman, quote, did willfully, unlawfully, feloniously kill Haley Jade Buckhalter, a human being, by culpable negligence. Actually, you know what? I guess that's why they made it a point of mentioning that what she named the girl, because it comes up later. Yeah. Anyway, the article, a couple of paragraphs later, goes on to say, if prosecutors prevail in this case, the state would be setting a, quote, dangerous precedent that, quote, unintentional pregnancy loss can be treated as a form of homicide, says Farah Diaz-Tello, a staff attorney with the National Advocates for Pregnant Women, a non-profit legal organization. I agree with that second statement, that would set a very, very dangerous precedent indeed. My thoughts instantly go towards those women who have miscarriages due to natural causes. For example, an unforeseen and or unnoticed health condition in the pregnant woman leads to, basically, in layman's terms, her body saying, nope, can't handle this, bye-bye fetus. Yeah, I know that was crude, but that's what I do. If this law were to be put into the books in good old Mississippi, that woman would be susceptible to prosecution for nothing. For nothing. Absolutely nothing. And would, as mentioned, put forth the precedent for any other state willing to force their opinion on a woman's reproductive rights, which many states seem to do anyway. And I didn't want to say this. I told myself as I wrote up my outline I wasn't going to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. What more would you expect from the fucking Bible Belt? Okay, I swear to you, that is the only religious reference I'm going to make in this whole fucking video. I promise. I promise. As the linked article states, it is often very difficult to determine the cause of a miscarriage without extensive and extremely expensive medical tests. Would this cost be conferred to the patient? Is my first question. Now, keep in mind, we're going on the scenario of the person in question did nothing wrong. They didn't know they had a said health condition. They didn't know they had a said uterus cervix problem, something that basically made their body go, bye-bye, done, we're out of here. So that's the precedent we're talking about. In this, or not precedent, that's the idea we're talking about in this section. Say, would the cost of those extremely expensive medical tests be conferred to the patient? And, you know, especially, once again, they did nothing wrong. And what if the test determines that the miscarriage was due to natural causes then? You know, like I said, going off the same point. Would this cause the cost to be still put on the patient, Or would it be transferred to the taxpayers because it was a governmental or regulating body that determined or that demanded the tests and would then have to foot the bill? That's my tax dollars. That's your tax dollars if you're over the age of 16, 18 and have a fucking job. It's your money that would have to pay for these tests to prove that the woman had a miscarriage due to natural causes, that there was no bad things that this person was doing, that her body just said, I can't fucking handle this. If that cost is conferred to the government, then that cost is conferred to me. Maybe not in this particular state, but you know what I'm saying. To you, if you live in Mississippi, good old Mississippi. If that's where you live and you pay taxes, then your tax dollars would have to pay for these extremely expensive and extensive tests to find out if the miscarriage was of natural causes or not. Either way, it's totally fucked. Whether it's conferred to the patient who did nothing wrong, but now they have to pay for all these fucking medical tests that the government made them take, or if your tax dollars have to pay for the fucking tests. Either way, it's totally fucked. Absolutely, utterly, and completely. Not only that, it's completely fucking asinine that the cost would be conferred to the taxpayer. On top of that, what about the woman's freedom? By freedom, I mean not being jailed. In the aforementioned example, would the woman retain her freedom, be locked up, or be on house arrest after getting out of the hospital until the results of the test came back? Remember, we're going on the concept that this person did nothing wrong. She has a miscarriage or a stillborn. If this law passes and this woman's in good old Mississippi, then she's subject to prosecution. Okay, what is the status of her freedom in this prosecution? Is she jailed? Is she okay? And it turns out everything was fine. She didn't do anything wrong. What then? Massive compensation from the fucking state and government. Once again, my fucking tax dollars. Your fucking tax dollars. Hello? Something I have yet to mention in this video is the idea that some of these, well, not just idea, but fact, some of these miscarriages, specifically in the case in question in the article, by the way, being brought on by drug or alcohol abuse, or other substance, let's call it substance abuse. Substance abuse. Something like this even, perhaps, because this has been linked to birth defects, stuff like that. But it tastes so goddamn good. No, just kidding. Anyway. And getting back on track. To be honest, that's a very fucking sticky wicket. And on that issue, I'm honestly of a split opinion. When an expecting mother engages in activities that have been proven to be harmful towards the developing life, I have very little sympathy for the woman when things go wrong. Of course, I feel sorry for the life that never had a chance to be, but on the other fucking hand, I'm like, hey, good for you. You didn't have to suffer through this fucking insipid American fucking existence. Do I think the woman should be prosecuted for manslaughter, voluntary or involuntary? Honestly, I don't fucking know. In that case, in the case where someone was doing methamphetamines or smoking a lot of cigarettes and drinking a lot of fucking beer while she was pregnant, winds up having a miscarriage or stillborn or something like that, should this woman be prosecuted? I really don't know. It kind of almost comes to me in like, well, where's the freedom? Just because someone's pregnant, they no longer have the freedom to engage in whatever behavior that they wish, as we are free to do as Americans. Drink a beer, smoke a cigarette. Woo! I don't know. I really honestly don't know if that, in that particular case, what it should be. A part of me says that there should be some repercussions, but another part of me asks then at that point, where will the line be drawn? If a woman can legally terminate an unwanted pregnancy, Roe v. Wade, people, how can she be jailed for intentionally ending a wanted, or for unintentionally ending a wanted one? Once again, can legally terminate an unwanted pregnancy how the fuck can she be jailed for unintentionally? Or, once again, in my previous example, where they didn't even do anything wrong and it's ended. That is a question that I saw appear in the margins of the article that was linked, and I have to say I honestly agree with that sentiment, obviously. And this is where a huge moral debate seems to ensue with evangelicals, conservatives, and other religious types on one side, and liberals, atheists, and progressives on the other side as it pertains to abortion. But really, we're talking about miscarriages and stillborns here, not abortion. So I'm just going to kind of move on from that. But you can see where this debate would get really intense, is because that specific question is actually a beautiful, wonderful fucking question. Not only because of its implications, but because of the dialogue that could result if it. I just can see it now as a whole bunch of people browbeating each other on other side of the argument to no productive end. And so, obviously, this is a very sensitive issue to a lot of people for a lot of reasons, most of which are fairly valid. Keep in mind in the comment section I said most of which are fairly valid. Okay? Keep that in mind before you... I'm gonna tear him apart. At the moment of recording this video, I can honestly say that this issue, like many others, cannot be solved with a blanket law. Proposed legislation like this is an all-or-nothing scenario. It says it's either this way or the other. That's a bad thing. We need to look at cases like this on an individual basis. An all-encompassing piece of legislation like this does not seem to provide that opportunity. It seems to reverse one of the fundamental ideas of our so-called justice system, that someone is innocent until proven guilty. Under this piece of proposed legislation, these women would basically be considered guilty until proven innocent. And that flies right in the fucking face of one of the very things that our now broken legal system was once founded upon. Or upon which was once founded. Grammar nut. Anyway. Like I said, I don't have a really definitive opinion on this, except for the whole point of if it's a natural miscarriage and all that shit, that is where this law comes into extreme problem, because it's going to wind up costing a lot of taxpayer money. It's going to wind up costing a lot of time and effort and man hours to investigate these things. And in my opinion, some amount that the portion of women who will be exonerated and yet still had a decent portion of their life and reputation sucked the fuck away by this process for no goddamn reason. I'm appalled by this piece of legislation, honestly. But I want to know what you think. Tell me what you think in the description. In the description? In the comments section. I feel a little better now. I'm Ranting Ramsey. That is all.
Hey, did you get all that, man?